3, 2, 1. All right, welcome back, fans and viewers. We're so glad to be back here for the first round of playoffs at Bobby Joe Johnson on this, good feeling fall night.
Yes.
It's a little bit warmer than normal, so we're kind of grateful for that. It feels really good. Feels perfect.
It was quite cold last game.
It was a little chilly. Let's talk a little bit about last week. What happened? Well, first and foremost, the Warriors did lose their undefeated season, unfortunately, to not White Plains.
Fort Payne.
Fort Payne. They rhyme. That's why I got it messed up. And I blame myself a little bit because I didn't talk about how the Warriors were undefeated in the regular season at home on the turf.
Right.
So they did lose that streak, unfortunately. But all streaks come to an end. Nothing lasts forever.
Well, I said it was the gray jerseys. I'm superstitious, so,
The superstition.
The superstitious runs around here. It really does.
It does. Hard-fought game all around the ball.
I agree.
We can get back to that in a minute when we cover Cherokee County and Central's game. But for right now, what happened last week? Fife, they came off a big win against Sylvania.
They did beat Sylvania. Yes, we did.
That was a Thursday night game.
West Morgan beat Haleyville 42-12. They beat them pretty well. We'll get to Haleyville later because they play North Jackson.
Yeah. So, and that'll be a big time matchup. First, there's a big time 1A game. Is it in Coosa Christian or is it in Gadsden?
No, it's at Spring Garden.
Okay, so just down the road, there is a big time matchup in the 1A ball. Tell us about it.
Coosa Christian plays Spring Garden in the first round of playoffs, which, looking back, that's kind of crazy, and you think about that because last year, and I want to say it was the third round of playoffs, Spring Garden and Coosa Christian played, and I want to say it was at Spring Garden.
It was at Spring Garden.
It was at Spring Garden, and personally, there was a very controversial call that ended that game, and so looking back, Spring Garden might have a little bit more hunger, but looking in the past 4 games, Coosa Christian has been beating teams by 49 points every game and only giving up 7. And that 7 came from a Cedar Bluff team that they scored 93 on.
Yeah. So a lot of controversy came out of that game.
Right. And Spring Garden had really truly lost to them in the season, but it was one of the games Coosa Christian had to forfeit. It was one of their first 5 games. So then Spring Garden ended up winning off of a forfeit, but really Coosa Christian won.
So in the record books, it's going to go as a Spring Garden win. But if we look at the scoreboard, Coosa Christian really won that game 42-22.
Yes.
So it was a beatdown in a sense, but can we kind of see a change in script? Last year, Spring Garden kind of beat down Coosa Christian in the regular season. Coosa Christian turned around and won it in the playoffs. I think it's possible.
Right. For us, you look at Cherokee County. Spring Garden is in the county. I would like to see a Spring Garden win coming back from last year, but I just don't know if we're gonna see a Spring Garden win with how much Coosa Christian has in them. They fought their way back in for the playoffs. They had their first 5 games. They had to forfeit. They're hungry. They're really, really, really hungry. And, they had a press conference with their coach. Somebody else did, and I read it, I think, maybe on the Gadsden Times. Their coach said they were going to drop 100 on everybody else they played.
I think right now Coosa Christian might be one of the hottest teams in football, in 1A football at the very least right now. Watch out for them. The Conquerors might be conquering tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
It's Thursday night here. And you wouldn't know it. You would think it's 9 o'clock. It's actually about 6 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
The time change is getting to us a little bit.
Yes, it is.
But I think tomorrow night we'll see some Conquerors conquering.
I do too.
I wouldn't be surprised if Coosa Christian won it by like 4 or 5 scores.
Yeah, I agree. If Spring Garden wins, I'll be very shocked.
The most confusing thing out of all of it, though, is like the way it lines up. Spring Garden, lost by 3 scores to Coosa Christian.
Yes.
And then Spring Garden got beat by Cedar Bluff, and then Cedar Bluff got beat by about 80.
Yeah,
so
they did. That game was really bad. And, I've just heard some little odd things. Coosa Christian is apparently mad at the whole entire county, Cherokee County, because their coach have thought that Cherokee County has been the reason that they had to forfeit their 5 games. Now, do we know if that's true or not? We don't.
Well, it kind of is. Mike Welsh, he is in the ASHAA, AHSAA affiliation. He was part of the vote to make them forfeit games, but they had ineligible players.
They did.
Rules are the rules.
They did.
They're in the playoffs now, and I don't see them getting beat.
I don't either. I really don't either.
Moving on to a little bit of 4A football, this matchup right here is very important because if we win tonight, this will be the determining factor of who we play next week. This will be North Jackson Chiefs at Haleyville Lions. Let's take a look at Haleyville. They're 7-3. They're 6-1 in their region. Their only one loss in their region is to Dora. We've seen them dance around the playoffs a little bit last year. Been keeping up a little bit this year, I believe.
They're pretty good this year.
I think they played Etowah maybe a little earlier in the season.
Yeah, and they're playing Priceville tomorrow night.
Yeah. Dora is going to be a good team. They beat Haleyville 42-20, and they're coming off a 42-12 loss against West Morgan.
Yeah.
So, you look at these losses. However, if you look at Haleyville's 3 losses, all 3 of these teams, they're not losing to bad teams.
No.
They have a combined 3 losses. On average, every single team has only 1 loss.
Right.
Dora has 1 loss. Winfield has 2 losses, and then of course West Morgan.
Right.
We will get to them in a second. They're undefeated.
Yeah.
Finished out the season. It's going to be a big powerhouse in the north.
It is.
Let's not get off topic. Let's keep talking about Haleyville.
Yeah.
So I will say, bring this up as well. They are losing to good teams. But between Dora and West Morgan, these 2 big-time 4A matchups, they've lost by a combined 52 points. The spread has been an average of 26 points. That doesn't mean they're giving up 26 points a game.
Right.
That means they are losing by 26, which is 4 scores, not a close game.
No.
That's a beatdown.
Yes, it is.
So this begs the question, can Haleyville compete when the moment is big?
Right.
We saw it last year. I think Haleyville has got a hunger. We didn't cover it because we weren't able to at the time, but they lost to Aniana in the first round. When we saw Aniana get that spark and beat down every single team they played through the first 3 rounds of playoffs.
Yes,
they beat Haleyville 56-14. It was not close. Fluff Bothell was their guy.
Yes, he was. He was on fire from round playoffs, and even until round 4 here.
Yeah.
He was still on fire. He still was, and off topic for just a second, I see him being on fire tomorrow night.
Yeah. Can Haleyville step up when the moment is big and actually win these games that matter? Their offense has to play on fire. They have to. When they're on fire, they're scoring a lot of points. When they're cold, zeros across the board. Defense needs to shut it down.
I would agree.
Defense is the same way as their offense. A little bit shaky, a little bit inconsistent. We talked about inconsistency on this show. They have to shut down North Jackson. Let's talk about North Jackson a little bit. They're 4-6. All 4 of their wins are region wins. They're 4-3 in their region.
Right.
However, if you look at these teams, New Hope, Madison County, Priceville, and DAR, that's all 4 teams they won to. They have an average of only 2.5 wins across the board. That means every single team that they beat has about a 3-7 record. That's not good.
And going off that, the teams that they beat are like Asheville.
Yeah. North Jackson is kind of like the Etowah of our record.
In our they snuck in.
They snuck into the playoffs.
The 4 games they won are the 4 games that they needed to win to get in. They happened to be their region games, which in that case, they got lucky about that. So North Jackson, with your saying that, you could watch out for them a little bit, but I don't think that North Jackson has that grit that Haleyville will have over them tonight.
No, if you look at it, so all of their wins are against bad teams, but then all of their losses have been not even close.
Right.
They have been by an average of 2 or more scores.
Exactly.
Their closest loss was 14 points. Their average spread is 33.3 points. That's about 6 touchdowns of getting beat down by other teams. I think if North Jackson has any chance of winning this tonight, which I don't think they do.
I don't think they are either.
They have to step it up. They have to play up to a decent Haleyville team.
I do agree.
I think it'll be interesting to see how Haleyville plays. I don't know how they are based off of their schedule, based off of their record, but I think they're going to beat down North Jackson.
I think they are too. I feel like North Jackson's going in as the underdog, and I think they're going to stay the underdog.
Their backs are against the wall, and I think Haleyville honestly will push them down.
Right, I do too. But to go off of that game, and I'm picking Haleyville for that game.
Yeah, same. Honestly,
flipping the script for a second. Brooks and Oneonta tonight. Oneonta is a 7-2 team. They're second in region. Cherokee County region. Yeah, our region.
They only had one loss, and that was to us.
Right, in their region. And, you look at Oneonta, and Fluff. Fluff is the one. Fluff is the one to look out for, and he has been. He's been for the past 2 years now. And he is, he's rushing or he's taking over half of the team's yards. If the team's struggling, he's going to literally pick them up on their back and he's going to carry them.
Their offense has not been the problem this year.
No, their defense has. Their defense has been their problem. And that's going to be a big thing tonight against Brooks because, Brooks, they're good. Obviously you got to be somewhat kind of good
to make it to the playoffs.
Right? But this could be a high-scoring game if Oneonta's defense doesn't step it up.
Well, yeah,
but if Oneonta, if Fluff's on, if they're on, like Carter Clyde, he's another one to look out for because he's gonna. I've seen them play. They've thrown a few touchdown passes to him. It's just little things like that. Like, you've got to watch out for somebody else other than just Fluff.
Yeah.
In which I think that's where they're also going to get Brooks tonight. I don't see Brooks slowing down Fluff.
No.
They may prove me wrong, They may prove me wrong, but I don't see that happening.
Well, like Brooks is they're very similar to Oneonta. Mm-hmm. All offense, no defense.
Right. And, looking at Brooks, they're 6-4. They're third in region. They have a solid team. They have a pretty good offense going for them, but
they've got a good offense.
Yeah, they do. But defense, back to Oneonta. Defense is going to be a big, huge key to this game on both sides. You have Brooks, you have Oneonta. Both of their offense are very solid, I feel like.
Both very good offense, high scoring, explosive.
And, the big key is if Brooks is going to be able to throw against Oneonta. Oneonta's weak side in defense is their throwing game.
Yeah.
Is getting throwing game. They're normally not that great on it. If you're running them, they're probably going to stop you. Fluff's going to be coming in hot, and he's going to stop you himself. Yeah. And, looking at, like, a big defense thing for Brooks, Brooks gave up 83 points to West Morgan. But they put up 53.
That's playing off that bad defense, good offense.
Good offense, right.
We're seeing on both sides of the field.
Right.
We talked about it. We've already covered this with Oneonta,
yes.
How they gave up 30-something, almost 40 points to a sorry Asheville team, but then they turned around and scored 60 on
right.
to win it by 20 points.
Exactly.
They have shown time and time again, hey, our offense is good.
Right.
We're going to compete with anyone in the state offensively.
Right.
Defensively, it seems they can't get it done.
Yeah.
I feel like if they want to beat Brooks tonight, they've got to score at least 60 points because Brooks, to me, is going to score 40.
Oh, yeah, they are. I agree with that. And, like I said, and I will keep saying until this game is over, it's going to be about who is hungrier on defense tonight.
Yeah.
You can be hungry on offense. You can be hungry on offense all you want to be. But the hungriness and the want to play defense and the want to stop them and have them 3 and out so you can get that ball back, that is what's going to be the key.
Those are so crucial. Third downs will be so crucial
yes.
tonight. Can they get the stop and get the ball back to push the lead?
Yes, I agree.
To tie it up, whatever the situation may be.
Yes.
Can they get this big stop they need?
Right.
That, to me, is who's going to win this game. Who gets the most stops on defense?
I do too. And, even off defense, even though Oneonta has a shaky defense every once in a while, Brooks has a good offense. But I think Oneonta has a better offense. I think Fluff is going to do his thing tonight. I really do feel like that. So I'm going to take Oneonta on this game.
I think at home, it's at Oneonta. They'll play off of that really well. They've got a good home field advantage. I think Oneonta will win this game. High-scoring game. I think across the board, they'll total out to be maybe 90 points over under.
Yeah, I agree.
Seriously, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Oneonta won this game 63-54.
Right. I was thinking about 50-42. I was thinking around somewhere like that. Like we both said, a high-scoring game. Expect to see it. Expect to see a dogfight in both teams tonight.
Even like a 42-35 type game, that's still high scoring.
Yes,
that's a lot of points. There's not a lot of defense involved. It's going to be a very fun shootout game. I'm still going to go with Oneonta.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, to go off the Oneonta game for a second and go back to talking about West Morgan like we did with Haleyville, Etowah plays at West Morgan tonight. West Morgan, they're coming off of a big win against Haleyville, 42-12, making them have an undefeated season of 10-0. What do we think about that one?
Honestly, I think West Morgan is going to be the big-time competition that Cherokee County is going to face in the north. I think this is going to be Cherokee County's biggest matchup of the entire playoffs. I'm not going to take away from any other team that we've got to play tonight. You've got to play the team to beat them. You got to keep going. But, hypothetically, if we make it to the playoffs into the third round, the matchup most likely would be at West Morgan.
Yes.
And so, to me, I just really think West Morgan has shown that they are a competitive team. They are much changed from last year.
I do too.
They were good. They were a playoff team, second-round team last year. But we were able to shut them down and win pretty solid.
Pretty solid
game, 42-21. It wasn't really close.
No.
I think this year, if we face them, it will be way different.
Aniana?
West Morgan.
Or West Morgan, sorry.
West Morgan. I think it will be a lot closer.
Oh, yeah,
than a
I agree
game.
too. And especially if we do make it that far and West Morgan continues to make it that far, it's going to be, like you said, there's a very, 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 very high chance it's going to be at West Morgan. So that's going to be a big thing. But, to keep going with West Morgan for a second, Jalen Fletcher, once again, we talked about him last week here. He rushed for 155 yards last week against Haleyville. If Jalen gets fired up, I think he's going to be unstoppable tonight. Etowah.
They've got a good offense. Etowah's defense is a little shaky. It's another team that gives up a lot of points.
West Morgan have a strong defense.
You talked about that. You hit on that last week.
Yes, they do have a strong defense. Etowah. Me looking at Etowah, I feel like we're kind of shocked they're here.
Yeah. Well, it's playing off of that whole. At the beginning of the season, we kind of got it mixed up. We thought there was only 3 teams from the region that were going to make it, but a 4th seed actually got to squeak in this year. And Etowah just so happened to be that 4th seed team.
Right.
But kind of similar to the whole North Jackson situation, their wins in region play. You're looking at Munford, Good Hope, Asheville. I mean, they're not great.
They are the lucky wins. They're the lucky wins of the season. They're the wins that they needed to get.
This Etowah team has 3 wins on the season. All 3 of them just so happen to be region wins. But a 3-7 team, I don't expect much competition.
And Etowah, like I said, they barely got in here. Nothing is really clicking for Etowah at all at this point.
Not at all.
It wasn't clicking at the beginning, and it's not clicking now.
Straight off the get-go, when they lost to Springville, I think that's when we kind of noticed, hey, this is not going to be that good Etowah team that we saw last year that competed their hearts out at Bobby Joe last year, 45-42.
I feel like they're going to run the ball. They are probably going to run the ball. Now, their passing game may be a little bit of their saving grace. Maybe just a little bit. But the thing is getting receivers open. And that's where Etowah, I feel like, struggles from, is watching them play us. I'm not a key player, though, for Etowah. You have Jameson Schism. He's going to run the ball. He's okay on his feet. He's not awful on his feet. But like I said, he's probably going to try and throw the ball just to throw him off a little bit.
He might try and play hero ball, and that's not going to work out tonight.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think. And when you say Etowah saving grace to their passing game, to me, by saving grace, that means 1 or 2 touchdowns that they're going to score tonight. I honestly think West Morgan will win this game 56-14. I don't think it'll be close. I think Etowah's going to go into They're going to go into Trinity, Alabama, and they're going to leave with their 2023 season finished.
And that's the thing is like I said about Etowah, I do have to agree. I think Etowah is very satisfied with getting in the first round, and I think they're okay with that.
Well, they probably weren't expecting to make playoffs, and they did. So they might have that, okay, I'm done mindset.
But, West Morgan, they're here to stay. They're hungry. I'm going to go 52-7.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can – like, when we played Etowah, they didn't score. So, is that all you've got for your games?
Yeah, on that one.
So, with that being said, we are going to move into our game day, game of the night, game of the week. It is the Central Wildcats at Cherokee County Warriors. So, looking at Central a little bit, over in Florence, Alabama, they're 6-4, 4-3 in their region. So, pretty solid region-wise, nothing crazy. They do have some big-time losses to Brooks, who is playing Aniana, 42-28, so 2-score game, nothing crazy. And they got beat by West Morgan, 56-14. We've been talking about this West Morgan team. They're good. And Central had to learn the hard way. Big-time loss. Lot to a little. 42-point deficit, I believe. 7 touchdowns. That's some quick math right there. And then their other region loss is to Dashler, 57-47. So a lot closer, a lot more competitive. Basic question: what do you think they could have done differently if they had won that game? Also another big question, which was very big influence into that Deschler game was Bryant Handback. Is he healthy to play? Is he going to come back? We haven't been able to learn or understand if he's out for the rest of the season or if he's going to come back. He's number 14.
Okay.
I did look it up.
I wasn't sure exactly
So
number.
this guy is their fullback and middle linebacker. If he is playing tonight, change the whole dynamic of the game. They are able to have the stunt or the trap, which could change up their whole offensive formation completely. And strong offense. This offense is averaging 38 points per game. I wanted to hit on this. Although they're 6-4, they got a really good offense. We've been talking about these teams with good offenses and bad defenses. To me, this is another one of them.
I agree.
This Hunter Palmer, starting running back, really strong running back, 186 yards a game, one of the top in 4A. Just up there with Jacob. Jacob's got about the same amount. We'll get to that in just a second. But to me, the question about what offensive formation are they going to be able to go in tonight? I'm not too worried about it because our coaching, Cherokee County's coaching is really good. Defensive coaching, defensive coordinator, Coach Henderson. He's shown up in the past 3 years and really changed the defensive program around. This year,
like you said, I agree with that, and I feel like a big thing for Central is seeing if their players back or not.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be a make or break of the game for them. I feel like if they had him, they might could score a little more than they do without him.
Yeah. But so looking at Cherokee County, 9-1, couldn't finish off that undefeated regular season. But however, looking at the bright side, they are 6-0 in the region. First time they've gone undefeated in region play since 2009.
When we won state.
So that's a good thing to look at. And then a good thing to look at with the loss as well to Fort Payne. It was a tough 21-14 loss. Really close, really tight, really good 6A team, really good 4A team. The matchup was there.
Like we said last week, this was gonna be the game that determined a lot, I think, for everybody, for the football team, for the fans, for everybody around it. Because I feel like not only us knew that, but that was gonna be a struggle. Not necessarily a struggle game, but a harder game.
Yeah.
A harder game. That was gonna be the issue there. And we seen it all happen. They got ahead of us, but I can say that our defense had that grit, they had that hunger,
and the determination
to play. We were down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and they stopped on a huge third and fourth down for us to get the ball back on the 35 on their end and actually score a touchdown right after that. That is grit.
Defensively, we were able to hold Fort Payne to the least amount of points they had scored all season long. Right. This is an offense. Fort Payne's offense was scoring 40 points a game, 30 points a game, just a lot. And the fact that we were able to hold them to 21 points just shows so much heart and determination from our defense alone. They, all around, all sides of the ball, on the front line, you got the dogs like Tay, Caleb, Landon. They're able to get in the backfield, put pressure, apply pressure on the quarterback, stop the run game. You look at the DBs, you got Tripp, Chestnut, Hayden Wheeler, he's an outside linebacker. He's a dog. He's able to get out there and stop the run. Who else? Cooper Rogers, he did get injured, broken collarbone against Fort Payne, but up until then, he was getting a lot of interceptions.
He was. He was a key player on defense, whether people believe it or not. He was a key player, and we're hoping he's back 3rd or 4th round, hoping we make it that far.
Yeah.
But, we hope to see him back on the field and healthy again because, like I said, I feel like he's a big key on defense, and we're missing him right now some, I think.
And then the leaders of the defense, the middle linebackers, Alex Lloyd, Tristan Brown, Jacob Cornejo, they are all fabulous on defense. They're able to absolutely light up on every play. Every single play, they are giving it their all. They're hitting those guys, and they are making those guys say, hey, I don't want to be involved in this anymore. This is not fun for me.
I agree.
But, we're talking about defense. Let's swap it over to the offensive side of the ball. I will say, go back to the defensive thing. We're only giving up 8 points per game.
Yeah.
Absolutely strong. Even with a heartbreaking 21 points loss to Fort Payne, still only giving up a touchdown and a 2-point conversion.
Right, and to go off that, I think I would like to see a little bit of throwing game tonight.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a little bit of throwing game because if they want to stop Jacob a little bit, I think Keyshawn's going to come in and kind of help him with it. But I think throwing game's going to be a big key.
But, you're looking at the key player, Jacob Cornejo. He finished just shy of 1,900 yards, averaging just a little bit less than 190 yards a game.
Yeah.
That's a lot. In college standards, this is Heisman numbers. He even has, at the very minimum, 2 passing touchdowns and a couple other completions with that bootleg fake that he rolls around and throws it to.
Right.
So, and then even playing off that passing game, if we need to rely on it, with our quarterback and our wide receivers, Carson Tittle, Chestnut, Ben Mosley, Frampton, Alex Johnson, I think they are able to get the job done. If we need to, they're fine.
I think the quarterback and the wide receiver, like the connection there is really good.
Yeah. Carson Tittle last game actually had both of the touchdowns were passing touchdowns. When we couldn't get the run game going, we had to flip it to the passing game. Honestly, tonight, though, I think the running game will be strong. I don't think Central's going to be able to get the job done. Give me Center 56-14. Strong defensive game, strong offensive game. We're going to the second round.
I'm going Center 46-12. We'll go 46-12.
With that being said, we are High School Game Day. We hope to be back with you next week to see whoever the winner of Haleyville and North Jackson is. With that being said, cut!